Hi guys, it's Catspace here. Today I have another friend, Laura, with me.
Hello.
So, Laura, can you introduce yourself to my audience?
Yes. Hello, my name is Laura. I am a freelance journalist living in Tokyo, Japan. I'm 29 years old. I'll be turning 30 this year.
Do anyone want to know about that?
No, it's helpful to know because I changed careers in my late 20s and I'm now kind of settled into something a little bit better.
Okay.
Going into my 30s, which feels a lot better.
And where are you from?
I'm from the UK.
How long have you been living in Japan?
In total, almost 4 years. So I came across on the JET program in 2017 and I stayed for 2 years in Kanagawa Prefecture. I left in 2019 and I told myself I wasn't going to come back to Japan for at least 5 years.
Why?
I don't know, I wanted to explore other places.
Oh, but
initially.
But it's not like you don't enjoy your life in Japan.
No.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. I almost set myself the don't come back for 5 years because I was worried I'd just keep coming back to Japan.
Oh, I see.
But in the end, that's exactly what happened.
Okay. So why you come back?
I miss Japan a lot. And during the pandemic, which obviously happened in 2020, so almost a year, not even a year, like maybe 9 months after I left Japan, the pandemic happened. And I was in Malta at the time. I was living in Malta. And then at the very beginning of the pandemic, when everything was starting to shut down, I decided to move back to the UK to be with my family because we didn't know what was happening. And my job got shut down in Malta, so I just went back to my parents. I was looking on like different Japanese companies that were doing production work and this amazing kind of storytelling work. And I was like, why did I think I couldn't do this in Japan? Like, I actually had so many connections in Japan and I'd really started to build momentum when I left. And I wanted to do drama school in the UK and I got into my drama course that I wanted to get into and then the pandemic stopped it. And then I thought, well, how about I go back to Japan? And I spent most of the pandemic trying to get back to Japan.
But you come back after the pandemic?
I came back in 2022. Travel restrictions were still in place for tourists, but working holiday visas could get back. At the time, you needed like a company in Japan to sign off for you and take responsibility for your quarantining, because at that point you had to quarantine. But when I actually landed, they just lifted the quarantining, so I didn't even have to quarantine when I got here, which I initially thought I was going to have to.
Are you working that time when you were in
I was already working online.
Oh, okay. So you came here for a JET program.
Yeah.
So that time, what makes you teach English in Japan?
It wasn't so much the teaching I was interested in, although I did.
Oops.
No, I mean, it's a great way to get into Japan. I thoroughly recommend the JET program. I was a bit worried if they placed me with really little kids, but I got placed with a high school, which was great. But I was based in an education center and I got sent to lots of different high schools. Like I could try and have proper conversations with the students and that was good. I had a friend who was studying Japanese at school, even though no one else studied it. She studied it like outside of school hours. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. And then I got really into anime while I was at university after a friend recommended an anime to me. And then I got really invested in the fashion scene and the design and aesthetics. So I was studying fashion photography in Cornwall at Falmouth University, and I decided to make a bunch of my dissertations and essays about Japanese fashion. So I did an essay on kimono.
Naruhodo.
And then my dissertation was about the rise of gender-neutral fashion and its origins in Japanese design.
I see.
And
so you already have that
Yeah. So I already had this interest. And then at that time, my friend who'd been studying Japanese, she got into Oxford to study Japanese. And she did 1 year in Kobe. And when I found out she was doing a year in Kobe, I was like, can I come visit you? And she was like, yes, please come visit me. So I spent 2 weeks during cherry blossom season in 2015. And this was like just before the huge tourist boom.
Oh,
just before. Because we were in Kyoto during cherry blossom season and it was busy, but it wasn't like it is
yeah, I mean now, especially after pandemic, it's like Japan is like over tourism.
Yeah, there are plenty of other places for you to go during cherry blossom season that is not Kyoto and Tokyo. I know they're the big ones and I know you think they're the ones you should go to. There are so many other places. There's like Yamagata Prefecture, weather, has like loads of cherry blossoms.
I mean, even Japanese government, they're trying to advertise other part of Japan.
Yeah, it's part of my job as well, is to help advertise other parts of Japan. And honestly, like, they're so cool and they're so great and they're so authentic and they're not crowded and gross.
You have the interest in Japan and you started the JET program, everything.
Yeah, in 2017. Also, I was like in a really depressed phase of my life and I didn't know what else to do. And I remembered the JET program from my friend talking about it, and I was like, I am gonna just put all of my effort into the JET program.
You are not the first one who's saying that. Like, so far, the friend, even me myself, who like decided to come to Japan, most of it is like we kind of have the stuck stage in our life, and then we are like, let's just change an environment, let's just go and do something different, right?
There's something to be said, like, moving somewhere new will not necessarily fix you, but there's something to be said for, like, if you are open to new experiences, you know, you don't carry all your baggage with you. If you like really like throw yourself into a new experience, yes, I think it can. Because I was really bad before I came to Japan, and I had started getting better, but it was in Japan that I realized how fun life could be, and I realized how much I could do by myself, and I realized how independent I can be, and like how many opportunities there were for me to have fun. That like healed me a lot.
And I would say many people, when they want to make a very big decision in their life, that moment is so scary. I remember when I quit my job in Singapore and decided to like apply to like study in Japan, I was like, will I make a correct decision? Will I regret with my decision? But so far, all the people I met here, like after they decided to like stay in Japan, or even not in only Japan, any other country, just don't be afraid of making decisions. Right? Even though it didn't turn out well as you thought, it's still a very good experience. So
I think
just give it a try.
Pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone to have a new experience, even if it doesn't stick, is like really good.
That's life.
But please don't come to Japan and expect it to be this magical world that fixes all your problems. Japan has its own set of problems that you have to deal with and like get over.
Okay, so you mentioned about you want to have a change of your life. That's why you decided to come to Japan for the JET program.
So I paid well, and I wanted to save up for drama school.
That time it paid well. It seems like now
the yen was much stronger back then. So what I was making on the JET program was enough for me to save money and like have a good time.
When you come back again, you have working holiday visa.
Yes.
And then working holiday visa, what's your work that time?
So working holiday visa, I wanted to do that specifically because I knew I didn't want to go back into English teaching necessarily. And I wanted to explore other artistic options. I've been doing some film work in the UK, and I was like, maybe I can do production in Japan. And I reached out to some production houses that were run by foreigners here. And I'd done some writing when I was on the JET program. And I kept doing a little bit of it during the pandemic. And it was actually when I was in England, I was first published in Tokyo Weekender, which is the English magazine.
Is that for fun when you like do some writing for JET program?
The JET program was volunteer.
So you like writing?
I wrote for the fashion and style section, and I was very bored at work for a lot of the time. When you're in JET, there's times where you're going to be really bored. We call it desk warming, where you don't need to be at work, but you need to be at work.
I heard that.
Doing the magazine gave me a lot of like something to do, and it got me into things. So I went to Tokyo Fashion Week as press for the first time.
That's the start of your journalist career.
Volunteer and
but you start with like passion and
and I reached out to a designer who I'd already met in the past, Kansai Yamamoto, who check Kansai Yamamoto out, he's really cool, and I interviewed him again, and just
even that time you already started to interview.
I liked interviewing people. I enjoyed it a lot.
Do you get paid that time?
No. But I was being paid on the JET program.
I know.
So I wasn't like, I didn't need the money at that time. And I wasn't allowed to have more money. You can't do other jobs on the JET program at the same time.
Oh, so you can only do like volumes.
Yeah, but I'm so glad because that experience, obviously then, you know, I had this portfolio of work with, you know, interviewing these really cool people and going to these really cool places, that when I applied to write a piece for the Tokyo Weekender, I could show them like everything that I'd written, and they were comfortable giving me opportunity to write for them. And from Tokyo Weekender, I was like, someone found out I could write when I was in London, a housemate, and he put me onto this website that he wrote for. So now I write for an entertainment website, and I can do that every single day because there's always entertainment news constantly, and that is my bread and butter. I make the most of my monthly money from just doing that each morning.
Can you like write something that you like and then just send it to all the press company?
So journalism, there's different ways you can pitch stories, and what you don't want to do is you don't want to be doing loads of work that is unpaid only to find out that no one wants it.
Now it sounds like they give you this and then you have to write and then you get paid.
I usually pitch an idea or I pitch a story and I say this is the angle I want to write about. This is what I can do. These are the people I already know. I can reach out to this person and ask, are you interested? And then the publication can come back to me and say whether or not they are, and then they commission me to write it, and we agree upon a pay rate.
Okay.
And then I do the article.
If you want to like kind of make more money with like journalist work, what things should they improve of?
This isn't a knock against anyone's talent, but if you came into the industry at a certain time, there were less people doing it at that time. So you were more in demand, and therefore you could push your rates up.
So you have to be more outstanding,
More pushy.
Then when people recognize your experience, everything, then they're might willing to give you a better price.
Yeah, well, usually those publications can't afford to pay you more, but you just go to places that can. So I've done some work with some other bigger publications that are international publications, some of which I can't talk about because I'm not allowed to share on socials certain things that I've done. But I got to interview politicians for a very big event that happened here in Japan.
That one kind of good pay?
That was very good pay. That was very good pay. It's branded content. So when you write branded content, which is where the magazine is being paid by an external piece, then you get paid a little bit better. And I got put forward for a couple of pitches. So, travel agencies will, like now we're in the new financial year in Japan in April. April 1st is the new financial year. Before that, the companies will be looking at, okay, who do we want to do our media for us? Who do we want to do our writing for our websites for us? Who do we want to create our content for us? And different groups will put forward pitches. And I was included in 2 different companies' pitches. One of the companies didn't win the pitch, which was a shame because it would have been my entire yearly amount that I need.
If they win, you secure.
Yeah, if they won, I would have been set. But they didn't win, which is a shame. But then the other one, they did win. It's the kind of content that you would read online where there's no like author, it's just part of that site. So I don't get the credit. But that's usually when you get paid more money.
Yeah. I see.
When you do content branded stuff, that's what I'm moving into, but there's less creative freedom. So that's why I would continue doing my own articles and get paid less. But that's the case with everything, I think. In any art thing, the moment you are being told to do something specific, you get paid more money. The moment you want to do your own thing, you get paid less.
Yeah. That's the reality of art scene. Even though music, like drawing art or like...
Yeah, companies don't want you to be an artist.
They want you to suit to public taste.
And so when you do want to be an artist, it's like, for example...
I think before you becoming an artist, there's a lot of works behind, right? Because of all this portfolio, I know last year you changed your visa from working holiday to
journalist visa.
And you self-sponsor your own visa.
Yes.
How was it? Is it like tough or like... So me, myself, I also self-sponsor my visa. I got an artist visa. But in my case, it's not that difficult, I guess, because mainly I have like music degree and I have like related experiences in and outside of Japan. For me, it's not that hard, but for you, mainly they look at your portfolio, right?
Yeah, so they're interested in you. Do you have a degree? Doesn't necessarily have to be in a related field, but I'm sure that helps.
Yeah.
Like I have a degree in fashion photography and now I'm a journalist, which aren't that related, although I do sell myself as a photojournalist.
Can I ask, before you apply for your self-sponsored visa, how long have you been working as a journalist?
Working?
I mean, including volunteer?
Well, including volunteer work then, it's 2018.
So it's like almost 5
Yeah,
years.
the volunteer work was very like a couple of articles a month. Now I put out 60 to 70 articles a month because the entertainment site, I write so many per day. I got first paid professionally at the end of 2020. That was my first piece for Tokyo Weekender. Was my first professional piece was 2020.
Which also, you have 3 years working experience.
Yeah, but I only did a couple of pieces in 2020, 2021. It was at the beginning of 2022 where someone found out that I could write and said, do you want to do some writing for this entertainment site? It's really flexible. You're freelance still, so you can pick your own hours. They have like a minimum amount you do per month, but other than that, it's super, super flexible. And, you know, and if you can prove that you can write, they need writers. And that was an absolute godsend. So thank you to my friend David for hooking me up with that. So I became a proper professional journalist from that point on, in my opinion.
But I think 3 years of working experience is also kind of enough for the portfolio.
Two.
And also, especially you have been living in Japan before, and
Yes.
because under JET program, so I think, just my guessing, I'm not really sure, but applying self-sponsor visa, usually maybe immigration will need time to like check this applicant's background. So if you have like history staying in Japan or working in Japan, obviously if you're doing fine everything, it could help. I mean, like, it could help.
Most important thing is how much you're earning. They want to know that you can support yourself without needing to rely on the government. So it's the annoying thing about freelance, I don't know if you know this, I'm not even 100% sure. So,
About
for
the money
example, it's how much you earn per month.
You know, actually, I heard this one from you, and then when I apply my own self-sponsor visa, so how I apply is that I didn't hire a lawyer, but I went to this place called FRES, Foreigner Support Center things.
They sucked for me.
No, but
I had an awful time with them.
okay, but they are like been very helpful for me. And then I did ask the staff there, like I heard from my friend, like we have to like secure monthly income. But actually the staff told me like that's not a must case. Of course, it's not too low. Maybe I would say 150,000 yen and above
I've
per
heard
month.
250,000 from my freelancing friends.
But yeah, I'm not sure about like which one, but the staff there told me this is the case. So anyhow, people who are interested can just consult with the FRES first.
Yes, do a consultation. I'm not even 100% sure.
Maybe there's also difference between, I don't know, journalist visa and artist visa. But of course, the more salary you get,
the more secure you are. I think with companies, it's more secure because you have a contract which says the company is going to pay you this much. With freelancers, because you cannot guarantee monthly income. So I had to show them like 3 to 4 months worth of payments and explain to them, they were like, how can we be sure you're going to keep earning this? And I was like, well, here's 4 months of me proving that I can, and I am already getting more work, and I will continue to work this way. So they were very confused with my application at first, and I had to take in a friend who spoke fluent Japanese and fluent English to discuss, like, I'm freelance, I don't have fixed income, it changes each month, but my money has only been getting higher, my monthly, like, has only been getting higher. So that's the whole point of a freelance. Like when you're a freelance journalist or you're a freelance artist, you can never prove month in, month out how much you're going to earn.
Especially when you are just startup, when you are still getting connection, everything. In the other way, I'm the one who asked them, do I have to secure this amount? And then they told me like, no, it's fine.
I've not heard that. I've heard freelancers, they expect even more income. And those are from people who have been renewing their like freelance visas a long time. So I have it in my head that I have to hit 3 million yen this year.
But of course, this could only help. So both of us actually know each other from share house.
This share house.
So about living in share house, do you have any thought on the pros and cons living in share house?
No, share houses are great, especially if you're new to Japan and you are worried about making friends, because it can be quite hard to have a social life in Japan.
Especially when you are not fluent enough in
if you're not fluent in Japanese and, you know, which I'm not, unfortunately, I'm conversational, but I'm not fluent enough to form deep connections.
I mean, conversational Japanese, you can live your life in Japan, but when it comes to like
bureaucracy, medical issues,
the government,
like deep relationships. Like even my job would be better if I knew more Japanese because I interview people and sometimes I need a translator.
Yeah, that's the point where we kind of recommend to stay at the share house, especially at first when you just came.
I don't know about other share houses. This one is wonderful in terms of the people here. It's great. And I knew about share houses because when I lived here before, I was dating someone who lived in another oak house in Yokohama. And I loved visiting him at that share house.
And by the way, our share house is more on social residence, which is a very large scale for share house.
Yeah.
This share house, we have like 120 rooms.
So I think it's 170 rooms.
Oh, really?
It's massive.
Yeah, anyhow, like if you're talking about like the normal share house, maybe people will think about like 5 rooms in one house.
Yeah.
This one are
Is
more on
massive.
like social residence.
Yeah. And social residents come with more amenities. So we have a gym, we have a movie room, we have 2 different study rooms, there's a music room and
We have
a cafe space and a large kitchen space with a lounge. What's great is you make really good friends with people and you have people to hang out with most of the time and you have people to like share things with. I think for newcomers especially, it's really good because you like plan day trips together. So we've been on a couple of day trips.
Yeah, like
We
next
did-
weekend, do you want to go and hike Mount Takao?
Yeah, we did Mount Takao. And then like for me, the other thing is when you've got a lot of fluent Japanese speakers. So we have a few friends here that were fluent Japanese, fluent English. If you have like posts that comes through and you're like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. When you get the letter from the Chiyakusho, Kuyakusho, the government, it's like, shh.
What do I do? How do I do this? I took one friend to City Hall with me to go over something. And like right now, like I said, with medical stuff, I have friends who can call up and help me out, which is really, really useful because it makes the whole thing a lot less scary. And we have parties all the time.
Yeah. Welcome party, farewell party,
birthday party. It's like one every weekend to the point where I can't do them now. I'm done, I can't.
Yeah.
And I met my partner here.
Oh, I didn't, but yeah.
Dating in Japan is really hard, and a share house just is like there's a place where you can automatically be social with so many people. Doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna find someone.
Yeah, and also without the like obvious intention at first, because if you are hanging out through the dating app or what, it's kind of too obviously.
You can just hang out as friends.
Yeah,
and then you can get to know each other.
Like more
and they get to see you, like
your life, your daily life, how you.
So my partner John, he got to see me in all kinds of disgusting mess before, like, so when he meets me I don't have to pretend to be someone else. He already knows who I am.
Yeah.
And we have a few couples here now who've met in the share house, and we've had couples come and like they come together and they live in the share house. So that's really nice because it's very hard to date in Japan, isn't it? It's like you're in one of the most densely packed cities on earth and it's still freaking impossible.
But I think for the cons part of living in share house, people who don't want to live in share house because they feel like sometimes too much social might get exhausted. Like for you, how do you balance like social life and me time? Before you and John get together.
I was probably in the social lounge too much.
And how do you feel? And
it was
how do
tiring.
You overcome that?
It's tiring. You have to like set aside like tonight. I'm not gonna go to the social lounge. I'm gonna go to my room and I'm gonna chill. Because even though I love being social and I'm an extrovert, it still drains you to be social all the time. You still have to be like on all the time.
Yeah.
When it gets too crowded, things don't get washed properly in the kitchen and it's just a bit gross sometimes, and it's like,
so how do you overcome that, or you just you couldn't overcome?
Just deal with it.
Just deal with it. Yeah.
You just deal with it, and
maybe that's the small cons side of
that's the con side, is you have to share everything. So I know some people here, they've set up like a kitchen in their room and they never go into the social spaces and they just live in their room, which is crazy because they're not big.
But I mean, because one point people stay at a share house because it's cheap, right?
Yeah, it's cheap and your bills are all included and you don't have to worry about a lot of things.
Let's say you move to apartment next time, like only by yourself. Would you be afraid of, now I'm like all alone, like I used to be, I can just hang out when I just go down to
It will be an adjustment. I've already done it once and I kind of like, that was when I was very good at being alone and I was very good at me time.
For me, I think after I moved to social residence, when I left the social residence, I kind of need more time to adjust because you kind of have like, you spend, for me it's like 1.5 years, I keep spending time with others. Yeah, and then by the time when I left, I realized sometimes it could be too much time I spend in social life.
You burn out.
Yeah,
So I was running on full cylinders. I was running full cylinders with work. I also, my hobby is theatre, and I'm constantly in theatre productions. So like almost every weekend I'm in rehearsals, and I was burning myself out there because I didn't have any actual breaks because I was just in theatre all the time. And then like my social life, I was burning myself out there by just constantly being social.
For me, why I moved to another share house also because of other reason, but I think one of the reasons is also it's time for me to change an environment. Yeah.
I'm probably gonna be doing that.
Yeah, and I'm so not used to it when I leave a place where I used to hang out every day, and the loneliness like hit me so strong. But just you need some time to adjust, and then I kind of balance my me time and social time now. So I think even living in the social residence, you get to social with many people every day, but also depends on yourself how you balance it. I think even moving or changing an environment, no matter it's in Japan or any other part of this world, is not that afraid to, right? Just change.
I've moved a lot
in environment.
I've moved like 10 times in the last 5 years.
Like when you make the decision, it's a bit hard. Like, I'm gonna leave this place, these people. I think sometimes people ask me like, do I recommend share house or what? Also sometimes, okay, the cons and pros, it depends on yourself if it suits yourself. I mean, you can try to stay in a share house.
Introvert and stay in a share house, but if you genuinely just cannot stand other people being in your space, then like if you really can't stand someone else being in your space and you have to have your own bathroom, your own kitchen space, then no, it's not for you. Sorry. But the kitchens and the bathrooms, especially the bathrooms, are very clean, I feel.
I mean, in Japan,
Well, no, just like even here, we have cleaners 3 times a week.
Oh, yeah. Just try it. If it's not suitable for you, then you just move to an apartment.
So if you come here and you're really stressing about like, oh, I have to find an apartment, there's all this money up front, and you're really worried about the pressure of moving in ASAP, share a house first and use it as like a base to jump off from, I think.
Okay, so next one. So I want to ask you, how was your experience living as a foreigner in Japan? Not really good or bad part of this country or what. I mean, every country has their good and bad, but it's more on for Laura's experience. Oh, do you still remember like when you first doing your JET program in Japan? How was it?
I remember like when I moved in the first day, the woman who showed me into the apartment from the rental company, she was like, "Hey, kawaii. Doro mitai." Like, she looks like a doll. And I was like, do I?
I thought you said Dorobo mitai.
No, doll.
Do you know what's Dorobo? Dorobo is a thief.
She looks like a thief.
Okay, Doru.
No, Doru. She looks like a doll. I didn't understand what she was saying at that time. And then my supervisor, my work supervisor, she was like, she said you look like a doll, you're so pretty. And I was like, thank you. And I don't know, I'm a very smiley person. In Japan and even like a lot of Asian countries, if you're pretty, they like give you special treatment. Almost.
Maybe?
Sometimes. I feel like
I never received special treatment, so I'm not sure. I couldn't give any
You're beautiful. You're beautiful.
Yeah, but in Asian, it's the standard, they like, kind of make it very clear. Like, if you have double eyelid, you're pretty. If you don't have double eyelid,
it's like if you're white and like pretty, like I'm not blonde and blue-eyed. And the stupid thing is like I'm white, but my skin color, because I'm Mediterranean, is almost the same as a lot of Japanese people.
Oh yeah.
So,
but your face is obvious.
But like it's obvious that I'm not Japanese, and I have big eyes, and like I have a high nose, and that's like pretty. And because I smile and I'm very smiley, like I felt like a lot of the people in my local area really got on with me. And I tried. I tried speaking Japanese, and I would smile with them, and I would like acknowledge them, which sometimes in supermarkets and convenience stores, those staff don't really get acknowledged very much. People would just come in and be like, money down, they won't even look at them. So the fact that I was like, konnichiwa,
I see, So that's the thing about like, I think foreigner in Japan, sometimes people have this kind of comment like, oh, because I'm foreigner, they treat me badly. But sometimes I don't think it's about you as foreigner or not. It's on you yourself, how you treat people first. And then maybe you will get the same.
There's definitely like assumptions that some Japanese people have about foreigners. For example, at the time I came, crop tops were really not a thing here, but I love wearing crop tops. But showing your belly was like weird.
And without bra.
Yeah, without bra.
When I first met Laura in the show, I was like, ooh, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a thing in Asia.
No, and it's not like I'm not very big chested. I'm not big chested, so it's not like I don't need a bra. So if I'm wearing like a sports crop top and it's like some people like, but like I'm comfortable like that, and I'm not breaking any laws. You know, I live here and it's bloody hot in the summer. It's really hot.
Yeah.
And I've even had like a guy ask me like,
You mean Japanese?
yeah, like a Japanese guy asked me like, oh, do you not like wearing bras?
Oh, so how do you respond?
And I was like,
It's just hot.
it's hot, it's sweaty, and I don't need to. Like, I don't have any need to wear a bra. And like, I don't like having like lots of straps on my shoulders that keep falling off like it's happening right now. I am wearing a bra today and it's falling off and it's annoying me and I need to tighten it. But yeah, so I felt like I'd get like, occasionally I'd be like, like that.
You got
Occasionally, yeah, for older Japanese people, like in during that time. But now, even though it's only been like 5 years, I feel like a lot more young Japanese people are wearing crops. I think it's been very popular in the last 5 years.
I see.
So it's not as unusual. And I'm in Tokyo, I'm not in Kanagawa. So like young fashion is more accepted. I went to Fashion Week this year and last year. And last year I had a lot of outfits where there was no bra and a lot of skin on display. And I know some people were looking at me on the train because on the train they don't know where I'm going. Once I got to Fashion Week, no one like, it's not an issue, it's Fashion Week. Skin on display is like, everyone's trying to show off and for me that was like, how little clothing can I wear?
But do you get uncomfortable or like, have you ever think of, should I wear more then? Like, because I'm in Japan, should I like, adapt to their culture or?
I do a lot to adapt to Japanese culture. I'm exceptionally polite, I believe, in the way I speak to and address people. In Japan, if something happens, people don't often help. They'll kind of just like stand and not do anything. Or I'll offer my train on the seats. And I always try to do it in a way where I'm just like just being as polite and as smiling and as sweet as I can be. Because I kind of like feel like I represent all foreigners.
Yeah.
So like me wearing crop tops and stuff like that, it shouldn't really impact. Fashion is very big to me and self-expression is very big to me, and that's something I don't particularly want to change.
I see that. You know who you are in that sense.
Yeah, if I'm going to temples or I'm going to like places of religious importance, then yes, I will obey those rules. You know, even though I still think that religious temples shouldn't also count.
But I do it because
it's a religious site. If I want to enter, then I obey their rules. There's no law in Japan about me having a crop top or having my arms and shoulders out. And if some people are going to look at me and be like, like fine.
You're just like, it's none of their business.
It's none of their business.
Yeah.
It's none of their business at all. And some people are like, oh, you should respect their culture. And I'm like, I respect their culture in so many ways. My job is respecting their culture and writing about their culture. But I'm not going to stop like what's important to me as well. Like I don't litter, I'm not rude to people. And
you save plastic.
I save big on recycling.
I kept get scolding when I went to the supermarket. I grabbed a plastic to put in the broccoli. Laura's like, don't do that.
You don't need to put every item.
I know I don't do that.
Thank you. Yay,
because of Laura.
Yeah, I'm very big on that. You don't need an individual piece of plastic for every food item. A lot of Japan's like rules about what women can and can't do are very sexist and deeply like misogynistic, and I'm not obeying those rules. Like,
as long as you are not doing anything harmful.
No, I'm not hurting anyone. No one's getting hurt, but I don't agree with obeying with rules that are like deeply misogynistic. So I remember once on the JET program, the boss of our floor shouted at my supervisor. You know, it was really horrific. She didn't deserve it at all, and I just glared at him the entire time he was doing it. And even though respectfully you're meant to like bow to people when you see them at work, especially if they're your boss, I think he was the bucho, the kacho, and I refused to bow to him the entire time he worked in that office. He left like not long after, but I specifically like held my head up and walked straight past him every single morning. I refused to bow. I'm not bowing at someone who screams at his staff when their staff did nothing wrong. What I try to do with a lot of my work is I will specifically try to find women in certain industries to interview them. So recently I had a piece published with the Japan Times, which was about a female bonsai master. Like I don't like that we have to say she's a female bonsai. She's just a bonsai master, but there's very few women that do it. there's very few fields that women like feel like they've had access to in Japan. Especially when it comes to traditional fields, traditional Japanese culture has been very male dominated.
I think even the yaku.
Oh, baseball.
Yeah, even baseball.
Yeah. Sports has been male dominated, and traditional crafts has been male dominated. Anyway, my goal is to write more stories and interview more women who those things.
Profession.
Yeah. Even against all those odds, look at the women who are like
they make the changes.
Yeah. And I'm just like, the more we can promote it, the more role models we can find, and the further we can spread their message and show Japan that people outside of Japan are interested in these women, then I'm hoping that they're like...
And also, I think, especially now with more foreigner come in, they also kind of have like broader perspective, like, oh, it's not only like men can do it, women cannot do it. No,
I think younger women especially are definitely feeling more empowered than they used to. But it is tough. There's still a lot of major issues here that need addressing when it comes to gender equality.
What advices do you want to give to those who are preparing to move to Japan or anything?
For me, when I was an ALT trying to teach English, it is hard because when you come as an ALT, a lot of people will come with like, I'm going to really help and make a difference. And you can, I'm not saying you can't, but the education system here is not really actually designed to help people speak English. So it becomes a very frustrating smacking your head against a wall. You have to work unfortunately within the confines that the education system provides. And it seems very nonsensical. You can do what you can do within the limitations that you are set, and there's not much you can do outside of that.
For those who come to Japan as a tourist, maybe most of them didn't aware of all this thing, but maybe for us who live in Japan, I mean, of course we see more that they have more space for Japan to improve, and of course there's good part of Japan, but there's also like more things.
There's excellent parts of Japan. Japan is an excellent... It's safe. I mean, it's safe in many respects. Like, the chances of something happening to you here are very, very low, but if something does happen, the chances of it getting solved are very low. So I got assaulted in a club. For my first Halloween here, I got sexually assaulted in a club. A guy tried to like grab my ass, and then he tried to put me in a headlock. And I do like martial arts, and I was like, I just dipped down and like pulled out, and then I went to push him, but then he got lost in the crowd, and I couldn't find him, and I was really scared, but like, I know a lot of women here who, when they report it doesn't get seen properly. There's not very good mental health services here. There's not very good work-life balance. If you're working here and you're working for a Japanese company, you might struggle.
But all of this is like, for me, of course, I don't mind as much as maybe Laura, but it so depends on people's, right? So if you are the one who, should I come to Japan and study or try to working holiday, for me, I still suggest come here, live a life, and then you experience it and see if it's suitable to yourself or not. Because I believe especially on the internet, there's so many things talking about Japan, like the good part, the bad part. It is, but it depends on, like, for example, we know that working under a Japanese company is not our thing. So we figure out our own pathway. I mean,
if you can come on a working holiday and try and find it, you really work during that working holiday. I mean, I traveled for 3 months, but that's also part of my work. I do travel journalism. But you really like push to find like a niche that you can work in that means that you can try and not be in like a Japanese company. But just come. Try it out, see if it's for you or not. Some people come here and they have really bad culture shock and they can't get over it and they leave. I know that happens.
Okay, so here comes our last questions. So, do you know where am I from?
You're from Malaysia.
Have you been to Malaysia?
No.
In UK, do people know about Malaysia? Yes, okay.
Yeah, we know about Malaysia.
And what's the impression towards Malaysia? I mean, for yourself.
I think, to be honest with you, out of everywhere in Southeast Asia, Malaysia's probably not the top of our lists. I think most people think Thailand and they think Indonesia, especially Bali. That's like quite the classic. And Vietnam even.
Oh,
and
really?
Singapore,
Then only Malaysia.
I'm sorry, but this is my impression.
It's very funny. People never know Malaysia is in between Thailand and Singapore. Like, people know Malaysia, but people don't know where is Malaysia.
I went to Thailand recently, but like, for example, if you were in Malaysia at that time, I probably would have gone to Malaysia, but I had another friend in Thailand, so we went to Thailand.
So like you say, Malaysia is not on the top list, but what's the impression towards Malaysia? Just like any other Southeast country? Like hot.
Before I came to Japan, I would think, hot, tropical, good food. I wouldn't know about it as being like a luxury destination, honestly. I think of Malaysia as like a luxury. I mean, I think about Southeast Asia as well. I think a lot about like plastic rubbish.
Why?
Because we see a lot of I see a lot of stuff online because a lot of plastic rubbish ends up traveling into those countries.
I would say our country also kind of dirty and not as clean as Japan, obviously.
No, I think Japan's
in the river you
clean.
can see a lot of like trash also.
I mean, I went to Sri Lanka and the beach that I went to, there was some beaches I went to were beautiful, but one of the main beaches next to this, it was just trash. And I see stuff online like, this place in Bali, this place in... I don't think Southeast Asia's got a very good waste management system. That's my impression.
Oh, okay.
And when I was in Thailand, that was proven true.
Oh.
There's a lot of...
But you travel to... Is it
from
Bangkok?
To Koh Chang.
Oh.
But there was like a lot of just like rubbish on the ground. A lot of rubbish on the ground.
Especially tourist spot, but okay. So do you know that Malaysia is a multiracial country?
Yeah, well I do now.
So you know it after you know me? Mm-hmm. Do you know Malaysia is an Islamic country then? Before that?
No. I didn't know.
See.
That surprised me actually. I didn't think. Whenever I think of Asia, and I think a lot of people, whenever they think of Asia, think Buddhist or Hindu. So I would have thought Malaysia was Buddhist originally.
Okay.
I wouldn't have thought Islam.
Okay. For me, I kind of know like Malaysia is definitely not top list in other countries. But at first I thought like maybe people don't even heard about Malaysia.
No, I definitely heard about Malaysia. 100% heard about Malaysia. I didn't come into contact with a lot of Malaysians.
Yeah.
I think you were one of the first Malaysians I've met.
Yeah.
And I've met a couple since then. There's you, and I went to a Malaysian restaurant. Do you remember? I went and covered a Malaysian restaurant, and they were super lovely too. And everyone was really chill, and I just got this impression that Malaysian, Indonesian, like that whole group of people, all those neighbor countries. Everyone from those like countries, I just feel like just really fun, bubbly, lovely people. Like even when we were in Thailand, it was some of it was. Some Thailand people were really nice, and some of them, like the customer service is very different.
I mean, for us, we take it slow and everything is a chill.
Like people like in Japan, you wouldn't go to a hotel and see people on their phones. But in Thailand, it was just like How can I help you? It's not like it was very different, and it's much more chill and much more friendly and much more laid back. I will come to Malaysia. If you go, I'll come too.
Even I'm not there, you can go.
No, I know, but I like going with friends. It's always better when you know someone who knows the area.
Stay in my house.
For free.
I think that's all for today's video. Thanks to Laura.
If you have any questions about journalism in Japan, or you need a journalist in Japan, please follow the links there.
And I will put on Laura's Instagram here and some related things if we mention. I'll put the link at the description box below. Okay, that's all.
Thank you.
See you guys next time. Bye. Knows nothing about Malaysia.
Get off my emails.
And checking about Malaysia.